Hi guys, Double Jack here. Welcome to my latest episode review / summary of the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Stardust Crusaders anime. I'm sorry I didn't do the previous ones. As I said, I do work a lot and there are times where I do work on Saturdays and I have to be up at the fucking crack at dawn, so it's really difficult to produce these videos. But I just wanted to say, I'm probably going to focus more on the ones and get them out as soon as I can that have a lot of changes, a lot of things that are kind of new to the story that you wouldn't find in the manga, and also stuff that, you know, if there's any cool news that pops up within the episode that's like, oh, okay, so they're going to do that later, that I'll always cover that. So, as always, right here I have my notes, and I'm going to pop up some pictures that I've got. Some of them I took myself, some of them I got from a friend of mine that tends to take pictures of it, and some I got from the actual website as well. So, there's a lot of things to see. So, first of all, we're going to talk about this is episode 23, part 1 of the High Priestess. High Priestess Part 1. I know I've edited these in the past. I'm going to edit in some photos here and there, but I'm just going to go in and talk and get this out of the way, because editing videos and stuff and me stopping and stuff like that at like 1 o'clock in the morning for me is fucking annoying. Other videos I will edit, don't you worry, I'll edit properly, but for now I just wanted to explain that, okay? My episode reviews will be non-edited, voice-wise and video-wise, but it will picture-wise, you know? So the first thing is a new scene, and when I mean new scene, I mean a new scene that goes on for like 12 or 13 minutes. And that's basically where you've got, first of all, they ask Joseph, the fuck do you get the money to get like submarines and all that? And he says, like, you know, I actually get it from the Speedwagon Corporation and stuff like that. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense, but still. Then you've got Polnareff, he's like, oh, I want to bring a girl in here, how awesome would that be for a date? And you're like, yeah, it would. And then, you know, they're like, yeah, that'd be cool, blah, blah, blah. Then there's one part that's really weird, and you see Kakuin get a cola. He's like, does anyone want a cola? And he grabs a cola. And you're kind of like, that. Well, number one, that wasn't in the manga. And number two, the colas never appear again. That was a very weird scene to have. I didn't really get that. I thought it was a bit silly, personally. After that, he goes to another new scene, which is completely new, and the majority of this episode, which has got a new part to it, in which, in the anime, you see Suzy Q phone Joseph on the ship, which is pretty damn random. But he calls her and goes, oh, I heard from Holly, she seems to be under the weather still, but she seems to be alright. And Joseph's like, I can't tell her the truth that she's like on death's door, and Dio, I need to kill Dio, who is, you know, the person I talked about, who killed my grandfather and took his body, blah, blah, blah. So it's kind of like, you know, it's pretty cool they added that, because you don't know about Suzy Q in part 3. Oops, sorry, I kicked that. And it's kind of cool, you know. I think it's pretty awesome that they added that. They add a lot more, and I'm going to get onto that. You see a bit where you see a magazine of Smokey as well, and it says New York Senator, and that wasn't in the manga, and I just thought that was really cool. Like, they're like, New York Senator, in English, of course. New York Senator, Smokey Brown. You're like, oh, that's so awesome, you know, that's pretty damn awesome. I thought, I like that, that was really cool. Joseph says that he's not going to be returning soon to New York, and that please wait until they finish the trip to take care of Holly, blah, blah, blah. And then you got Roses, the guy, and he's like, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a picture right now, okay? This is the picture, and it's got the voice actors and actresses for Suzy Q Roses, and also for Midler as well. I can read it and stuff like that, but I don't have it in front of me, so I'll end up saying that in the description or something like that, who they're playing. I'm not a big anime voice actress person. I mean, I know some of them, and, you know, I'm not a big, like, anime voice actor, so, like, here and there I know something, like I said. Anyway, that's not important. Well, it is, but it's not. So, yeah, then it becomes apparent to us how Holly's doing now, because we're always in the manga we just assume that she's on death's door all the time but not changing, but now it's like, okay, she's getting worse, you need to do it, and it kind of like gives you the oh fuck, you've got to get there, you've got to get to Egypt, come on, get to Egypt, come on. But in the manga they kind of like never talk about Holly in terms of like how she's really doing. They're like, yeah, she's on death's door, I heard that she's not doing well, and it's like, well, you don't get that kind of Suzy Q worrying, like her mother's worrying about her. That's pretty awesome. Like I said, that whole thing I've just talked about goes on for 12 or 13 minutes, and it's like, oh, that's sadness. I'm joking. I'm only pulling your dongles. It's actually really awesome. Mini review right here before I end it. That first initial scene with all of that takes 10 to 13 minutes, as I said. Good scene. It needed to happen. It needed, because we don't know what's happening with Suzy Q. We don't know what's happening with Holly at that exact time. It added it in a really cool way that has Suzy Q actually worrying for her daughter. Joseph actually kind of worrying and scared to tell her. Because he doesn't want to upset his wife, and Avdol actually tells everybody her vitality is not doing so well at the moment, and that she doesn't really need to know that Holly's going to die. She just knows she's got high fever. So yeah, that was a really cool thing. After that happens, you get the fact where Joseph picks up the cup and it turns into, of course, High Priestess, and cuts off his hand. And it's pretty cool because in the manga version, I'll try and find it, but I'll put up the picture here if I can't, sorry. And it's basically when he gets his hand cut off, it's got like by the wrist, it's all like dark and then there's blood going everywhere. Whereas in the anime version, instead of actually censoring, they show more, and they've got all the kind of like wires kind of, because it was his robotic hand, which is his left hand, and gets cut off, and it's got all the things, and there's blood everywhere, because of course it would be blood, you know. And you know, it goes flying off and stuff like that. I thought that was pretty damn awesome. I was like, okay, so I'm not censoring that, but it's not too graphic because it's like, it's a robot arm, and yeah, that is blood, but we've seen a lot of blood in parts 1 and 2 already, and in part 3 we've seen quite a bit of blood anyway, so yeah, it's no main change, you know. Yeah, I thought it was the fact there was a new scene where Suzy Q phones up the phone again, and they're just like, where's Midler, where's Midler? Well, saying where's Midler, where's High Priestess, and Avdol talks about High Priestess, and he goes to pick up the phone, and Avdol's like, don't pick up the phone, it's gonna be her, it's gonna be her. And he picks up the phone, and they're like, and it's not, and you got someone on the other line, a woman going, hello, and then you just find out Suzy Q just talking really weird. Joseph, is that you? And he's like, quiet, and it says something, he's like, it's not Joseph, it's like, it's Jotaro, and it's like, Jotaro, and then he's quiet again, it's like, don't be quiet, talk to me, and he's like, everything's okay, I'm here with Joseph, I'm here with Grandpa, don't worry, Grandma Suzy Q, and he puts it down, and then she, and then when it goes to that, it's, goes to the, cutscene, what am I fucking talking about, goes to the commercials, comes back from the commercials with, of course, Midler and High Priestess. Like I said, well, I didn't say this actually, sorry, this is in a previous recording that I fucked up. Anyway, it comes up, like, the colours in the coloured version of the manga are really pretty damn awesome, but in this she's got like a more human tone to her, like brown, long hair, kind of like a palish, I mean, yeah, it's still metal, but kind of like a palish face, and it's very weird, you know, it's a very uncanny valley kind of shit. But yeah, still it's cool. Then it goes back with Suzy Q on the phone, and she explains why did Jotaro pick up, what's going on, and then she's like, well, Jotaro was wild, and here's a picture of Jotaro as the lovely child of his mummy that she has. And then, anyway, Suzy Q's like, he used to be a good kid, he then went wild, and he's been a bit of a dick, but he still cares for the people around him, even though he acts like a dick. So, like, that's pretty cool. It's like Suzy Q and Jotaro kind of interactions going on, which is awesome and new, and kind of like, yep, it's Grandpa cares for grandson, you know, he cares for his mum, even though he doesn't show it, and he clearly cares for his grandma. After that, we get a new scene, and it's basically where Jotaro goes to smack the what do you call it, the dial in the submarine, because Kakurin says, I don't think that's the one, and he goes to smack it, and then the light turns into, well, the light fixture behind Kakurin was actually High Priestess, and when he's going to smack it, he turns around, and in the manga, Kakurin turns around and it goes and cuts his shoulder and blood spurts. Whereas in the anime, I guess they try to give a lot of them a fighting chance. When he turns around like that, Hierophant Green comes out and goes, Emerald Splash! And it still goes through and goes, and he's like, ugh, like that. So that was new because that's not in that. They're trying to they're trying to extend it as much as they can. Then there's the part where Jotaro's, you got Avdol with the valve door handle, and he's like, what? And it turns to Midler. Midler goes to attack. High Priestess. Midler's the woman. High Priestess goes to attack. Jotaro's Star Platinum grabs her arm, picks her up, and goes. And in the manga, he goes like that. And in the anime, he kind of stretches her like that, and then you see like blood come out the eyes and mouth like that. Then you just see like Jotaro's feet with the blood spurting down into the water, and the next thing you know, in both the anime and the manga, this part, there's a razor in the hand. Now in the in the manga version, the razor's there, it falls out his hand, and there's blood pouring out and cuts everywhere. In the anime version, which you'll see a little bit right here, I couldn't really get a good picture here, is that it cuts up his fingers, so he's got these little scars on his hands. Nothing too brutal. And I thought, fair game, there are things and people know blah blah blah. But, it's on late at night, show me blood. We've already seen Joseph's hand being cut off and blood everywhere. I think they were like, no, we've met our blood quota for today. We'll just give it a little bit. After that, then in the manga, it just keeps on going on. But in the anime, they had it where they're like, Avdol's like, we gotta take him out, we gotta take her out as quick as possible. And he summons Magician's Red, attacks, misses. Silver Chariots, Polnareff goes, Silver Chariots comes out, misses. And you're like, okay, I guess that's okay. I mean, they've extended it, and as long as he doesn't blow up the submarine and kill everyone, fair game. But in the manga, none of that happens, so they don't summon, there's no stands apart from Star Platinum's hands and Star Platinum literally grabbing a High Priestess, and that's about it inside. Then we get Jotaro's famous saying, because everyone's like, we're going to get out of here, and he's like, I'm going to stay. Then he says, Teme wa kono kujo Jotaro ga jiki jiki buchi no mes, which basically means that I'm going to beat the shit out of you, I'm going to punch you to smithereens, I'm going to crush you, kind of thing. Mostly, I will beat the shit out of you, I'll beat you to smithereens. And that was one of his famous quotes, which you can find in All-Star Battle, you can find in any form of manga, you can find in any of the games, anything you can find. It's one of his famous ones. But yeah, then it goes afterwards, it goes back to Suzy Q talking about Jotaro again, and then it comes to a different part. You got Roses like in tears, and you got Holly kind of like nude with all these vines around her, and he's like, I know what's going on, but I can't tell Suzy Q. But after that, they have like it's kind of a funny kind of scene, I thought it was, where you got Joseph and he's got his hand and he's cut off. This is a new scene, by the way, and he's got the lumps. In normal thing, lumps. I said lumps. I meant to say the wires. And basically, everyone's getting ready to put on the snorkel and the diving equipment, scuba equipment rather, to go out and swim. And then you got Joseph, like, he looks at his hand, turns to Jotaro and says, can you give me a hand? And that joke actually does work in Japanese. It's not as corny, like, give me a hand, here you are. It's in Japan, it's kind of like rarely used, but makes sense. It's not as corny. It's kind of like one of those, yeah, he's an old man, he's kind of corny, and it's funny because of that, but it's not like, oh, it doesn't matter who uses it, it's fucking corny. It's not like that. It's like the former. And he says, do it yourself. It's like, that's his Joestarones. It's Jotaro. And yeah, as we know, episode 24 is going to be High Priestess Part 2. The last thing you see, which you'll see here, I'm going to have the picture, is High Priestess teeth with to be continued, her laughing underwater with a yagas kind of thing. Next episode, number 24, High Priestess Part 2. But let me get on to something I want to talk about. For my review / summary, that was awesome because I like to see more backstory which wasn't featured in the manga, and they actually had more backstory in that. Loved it. Suzy Q actually being in part 3 talking about stuff. We see a bit more of Spooky, which I like in that as well, and also we get to know, we get to see Joseph interacting with his wife and kind of like, I need to hide this from her, because you would think, you just think as a joke, how would he hide this from Suzy, blah blah blah. But he hides it very well in the manga, but in the anime she calls him up and they have a talk, and then she talks to Jotaro, and that doesn't really happen, so it's awesome stuff that happens. I'm happy about that. Good episode. I really enjoyed it. I think if you're a big JoJo fan like myself and you want to get into the more kind of backstory, I mean, I've read Hoge Joestar or George Joestar. It's actually George Joestar, but a lot of people call it Hoge because it's written in kind of a Spanish name, and that's That's Jonathan's son slash Lisa's husband slash Joseph's dad. And that's a really good story. It's actually set in between 1 and 2, and that's a really good story. I think if you can get an English version, read it. If you know Japanese, definitely read it. It's like adding to that stuff as well with Suzy Q. I've really enjoyed that. It's awesome. So basically, this episode was great. I enjoyed it. I love the background stuff. And next episode, 25 Priestess, part 2. Now let me talk about something. Guess what happens in episode 25? It's when Iggy appears. Iggy and Oingo Boingo. So everybody's looking forward to Iggy, and we all know we are, because Iggy is fucking awesome. He's one of my favourite characters in part 3, but he's a lot of people's favourite characters in part 3. And anyway, yeah. So, like I said before, when I was talking about the 4 seasons, and I had that idea where I was like, well, if you think about it, there's 6 Blu-ray slash DVDs, 4 episode of DVD, you get 24 episodes. That's season 1, because they only announced 6 Blu-ray slash DVDs. So what I think they're going to do is they're going to do episode 24, and just before next week or after next week, or no, on the episode rather, they're going to say, yep, there's episode 24, and we're going to take so and so month break, and we'll get episode 25 to you as soon as we can. And yeah, it's gonna be, sorry, I had to cough. It's gonna be a great episode because it's gonna be Iggy and Oingo Boingo as well, and I like Oingo. And I love Iggy, so it's gonna be so good. Looking forward to that. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about that. Sorry for going on a tangent. What I'm gonna do with these videos is, I'm really sorry that I didn't put the last ones like I said before, but yeah, I've been busy with work and stuff like that. So I'm gonna try and do the ones like I said, that I'm gonna do the more impact ones, the ones that have the most impact, and the ones that I believe that are like more quintessential to the JoJo kind of story and stuff like that, because a lot of them don't change, and I would like to do that, but I want to do ones that change a lot. So I'll try my best and try and do every one. If I can't, I do apologise, but yeah, I'll do that. But I've got more videos to do with JoJo coming up, a lot more videos. I want to ask you a few things as well. If you could tell me what you would like to see in terms of JoJo, or even around Japan. Maybe I can go around to Japan. I've got TGS videos coming up when TGS comes out when TGS starts, so look at those as well. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm Jack. Here's my mouse. I'm going to click off because I'm not going to edit.